Welcome to the Quantum Cafe and Interstellar Lounge with your host here, the Cosmic Messenger. It's a wonderful pleasure to be here with you today. And as usual, I have a wide variety of topics that I talk about on this channel. And today we're going to dive deep into the multiverse of Arcturus, the Arcturians. So the Quantum Cafe and Interstellar Lounge is a home base where we can go into a transformational metamorphosis pod for unraveling all of the divine wisdoms and sacred happenings that occur inside the multidimensional fields happening here on Gaia, Earth, and all over the cosmos. There's no limits to our conversation. We can go as far as we need to. My experiences have been wild since I was a little child. So that's kind of where I'm coming from on that end. So mixing that in with today, it's opened up my field so that there's more room and expanded consciousness so that we can take things as far as we need to go and journey wherever we need to. It's your personal adventure, it's mine, it's the collectives, and they're all intermixing inside of the quantum realms, okay? So Arcturus. So myself, I highly resonate with the Arcturians, and that's because I am one. I am a hybrid of Arcturian and Spican. There's more other ones that play a little bit more of a prominent role, but those are the main two ones, and then everything else stems from here. I was not on Earth last lifetime, and I will no longer be Earth on the next lifetime coming up as well too. So, to give you a quick idea before we get into Arcturian wisdoms, is that this adventure started for me since I was a little child, but the info that came through about being Arcturian just all made sense when it came to me, but I was constantly asking the multiverse, Prime Creator, I'd like to know more about my past lives, my Star Nation roots and all that wild stuff, and eventually it came. So within the last year and a half, the first instance was I had galactic astrology read. So your astrology for your birth chart, and then the astrology for everything happening off planet. Absolutely transformational reading, super cool. So what took place during that reading was that two things came up, that I had many lifetimes and resonated, lived much longer on Arcturus, and that I'm also Spican. There's only 2,000-ish of them in this region of the Milky Way galaxy, so they're rare indeed. So that came through, and it just resonated with me. We looked at some photos of how the beings look and different stuff, and it was so profound. Then I had QHHT, quantum healing hypnosis technique, done. It was a 3-hour session. We opened up the book of the Akashic Records for me. That's just where my consciousness went, and during it, talking lots came out about sitting on the Arcturian High Council, one of them anyways, and then also having some stuff with bringing a ship over and having to turn around, not being able to come back. It was all Arcturian base, right? Whoa, some heavy stuff. Then after that, after the 8-8 gateway, the Lionsgate portal this year in 2022, I had more information come through me because I had a dream. And the dream was the most vivid dream I've ever had. And I scanned 5 or 6 children, 3 to 4 years old. The last one was Arcturian, and I stared at it with no words. It was such a transmission of transdimensional activity. It was mind-blowing. The color of the skin, the look, everything. A few days later, maybe a couple weeks max, I start getting downloads from the Arcturian High Council. Whoa. Then I get information after that these children that I saw were me in different lifetimes. But the Arcturian one was a main one, so it stayed focused on it. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. So I'm the more information I hear about the Arcturian realms, especially in the metaphysical and spiritual components, there's so much that I resonate with, and that it's also the explanations. I'm that's me all the way through, right? Okay, so let's dive into Arcturus. I'll tell you a little bit about what their constellation is, where they live, all that fun stuff, starships they use, etc., etc. So they're in the Boötes constellation, Bootes, with the 2 dots over the second O, Boötes. And it's a giant blue planet orbiting the star Arcturus, or Ohora, as they call it. 36 light years away from Earth. So in the grand scheme of the cosmos, truly not that far, and humans can go faster than the speed of light when they tap into their abilities. So we're coming. We're going to be going for a visit. Eventually, the meta-terrestrials and us integrating with them is going to reach a whole new level. There's 3 main groups. There's the Ahoran, the Gliadian, and the Newlin. And the Ahoran, the Ahori, is the one I resonate with the most. We even kind of dress with these like cowl necks and like the same types of clothing that I have on. It's pretty cool. So they have aqua glowing skin with no hair and mesmerizing eyes, kind of like moved, pulled back a little bit. The skin, the aqua, is from another dimension. It's like seeing more of the color spectrum. You could never possibly imagine it until you experience it. And they have a beautiful natural state and presence. On average, 10 to 12 feet tall. Now, I'm speaking in general about the collective of Arcturus. There could be way more beings that live on different planets in and around that region that have timelines and lineages and bloodlines from the Arcturian range. I'm talking in a very spiritual, metaphysical way because these are high-level beings that are here to assist humanity, but at the same time, that does not mean that every single individual within any collective, in any star nation, has that malevolent or benevolent aspect to them, right? We're all working on our spiritual processes. So some are working for us, some aren't. In this case, we're focusing on the collective as a whole. Okay? It's good beings, bad beings, crazy beings, wild beings all over the galaxy. It's super populated. So they are one of the most advanced civilizations in the Milky Way galaxy, reaching the 7th dimension, right? We're in the 3rd dimension. Imagine living in the 7th dimension. The increased vibratory experience that you go through. That's for the Gliadians and the Newlin. Noo-Linn. And the 9th dimensional, which I resonate with, and I use a lot of 9th dimensional templates, is the Ahori, the Ahorans. Ancient and highly developed culture, both in technology and both spiritually. Let's just say, even though human origins, maybe not in our exact form, can trace back to the master bloodlines of 250 million years ago, Arcturian goes so much longer, so much more developed, and the technology, what we're dealing with down here on Earth is cool, distorted, and creates a lot of EMF weirdness, but it's definitely low vibrational technology. It's child's play. And physical matter, and plus we also don't really have much of how do we use this technology to help the beings of Earth. It usually gets used in a distorted way. So physical matter for them is no obstacle as they choose when to incarnate or to manifest into 3D or other dimensions, right? Kind of picking it on will, right? Go inside, boom, broadcast. They mainly live in an etheric state. So you can be etheric, fully transparent, semi-transparent. You know, after you get past the 5th dimension, it really starts to become more etheric. And they're very multidimensional. Everything, and I can relate to this one, is psychedelic and always energetically changing and morphing and moving, right? I see, since I was a youngling, tons of particles moving all over the place in every object, on rocks, stones, lights, cameras. It doesn't matter what I'm looking at, the blanket behind me, it's there. And everything was always kind of pulsating and moving, right? They are very evolved and they're very evolved metaphysically and spiritually. So we're talking about star temples here, right? And accessing deep sacred wisdom that we would want to you go on your own personal adventure and don't put anybody up on a pedestal, but when it comes to these higher functional level societies, civilizations, star nations, and they carry profound wisdoms, it's highly recommended to go over and check out some of those wisdoms and see how they resonate with you and how you can integrate them into your life metaphysically. They definitely work with sacred geometry, transformation, and advanced healing modalities. So we take all the healing modalities we have on Earth, acupuncture, esoteric acupuncture, Sacred Heart Tamiana, heart math, human design, right? Kundalini yoga, yogic practices, multidimensional Reiki, and the list goes on and on. There's so many beautiful modalities, reflexology treatments. There's laying on biomats on a table. There's so much to access. It's absolutely incredible. Aura scanning. And those are amazing technologies, and they're improving on themselves every solar year and getting more profound and more supercharged. But in the grand scheme of the cosmos, there's way higher elevated modalities that get to the root of the disease, show your core root pattern, and boom, we make the change that we need to do so that we can eliminate the need for constant suffering, constant distortions, right? They have an Arcturian High Council, and I'm sure there's more than one. The Arcturian High Council, councils of beings that are not overseeing what everybody else's actions are, but more, well, they are watching and overseeing it, but they're not making those decisions like a government would. It's more when things get a little wild or crazy, or there's an even higher level than even where the general collective is. There's some beings that can help in and assist and provide some sacred wisdoms when the time is calling. And once in a while, you do need to go to your elders for some deep wisdom. They assist Earth via the Galactic Federation of Worlds, which has many different factions and many different angles to it. I'm not saying it's all pure on every angle, but I will say that they're working with a larger group, right? With them. It doesn't mean that they're necessarily a part of them, but they are intermixed with them. And they are wise elders. They can bend and manipulate light and matter. Light, photonic light, solar light, all light gets manipulated, bent, and matter is a part of that because light is in all of matter. And so if you can manipulate and bend light, bend matter, you're able to transmute things to access what you need in that moment. And the universe has infinite amounts of creation, so it's not like you're taking something from something else because you manifested it out of nowhere. It saves the opportunity for going through assembly lines like we have on Earth and just product placement, produce. This is able to make it through the holography, right? And also create things that we can only dream of at this point. But if you can dream of it, it's 100% possible. That's the cool part. It's already existing. It's just a matter of us tapping into that field. Imagine being able to learn that from them. Got to clean up our act on Earth first. Okay. They teach their children the techniques of spiritual attuning so it becomes an essential routine. These techniques are really famous and have been spread around the galaxy organically. So imagine teaching your children advanced spiritual wisdoms and technologies and techniques for attuning themselves. You create a more balanced human. There's less anxiety, less stress, less wanting to be suicidal even in some cases, less traumas. You know, because you think about the types of stuff that we're teaching our children now, spirituality and metaphysics, astrology, how the body works, our emotional components, and how to be able to seek the wisdom inside of us that we have everything we need, and setting up those tools all over our communities to help is definitely something that's not on the forefront right now. They put it on the forefront. That does create stronger bloodlines. And then you can assist others because you're showing up. Plus, children are already activated when they're young. They can tap into those abilities way more. They're always attuned to the light, morality, and justice. When I heard that one, that kind of blew my mind. Because when I was a child, everywhere I went for numerous years, I kept saying, and I was just having fun on the playground, doing whatever, I'm a champion of justice. That came out of me all the time. Interesting, right? Having strong, beautiful moralities is amazing to have, that are flexible and open, but in tune with natural law, right? And if light provides all the info of everything that we experience mixed with sound, healing frequencies, universal life force energy, sacred geometry, and prime creator, that's a good one to put into the forefront. And they are wise and fantastical great teachers. When they are in the higher planes of existence, the Arcturians do not eat food, so like the ninth dimensional stuff, or if they're doing some sort of meditation, astral soul journey, as they ingest energy via the nervous system. So you're eating and drinking infinite prana, infinite air, right? When we're so used to eating food as we do, and there's millions and infinite other ways of being able to sustain the body and go through those nutrients. And it's not something that you just switch on overnight. These are elongated practices, right? as an individual can take many, many, many ultra dedicated solar years of Earth time, and for the collective, it can take eons to get to those points. But you can nurture yourself in so many different ways. There was beings on this planet a long time ago that didn't eat food at all. I forget what they were called, but that came up in the Voyager book that I'm reading recently. Fantastic read, Voyager book 1 and 2. Whoa. They assimilate information 100 times faster than Earthlings. Imagine that. When you're operating at max capacity, or you see max intelligence going on in the collective, it just blows your mind. Somebody who can form the Rubik's Cube in under 6 seconds or whatever they do. That wild stuff. Add 100 times faster than that, and that means 100 times more. That's minimum. Now they sleep way less, but their sleep is very important, because the moment when the soul travels and connects to the subtle dimensions of consciousness, that's how they view dream space. Generally, most of us go to sleep. You might be like, oh, that was a wild dream, or had a little terror in the middle of the night. Most of us don't realize the amount of messages, lucid dreaming, interconnected communications we're having with other beings on Earth, our soul group, etc., etc. So they take it very sacred and very profound. And you do go to the subtle dimensions of consciousness. Think about what you can do in a dream, which you could also do in real time when you're awake, but we haven't tapped into that yet. They are the guardians and the protectors of higher consciousness and a direct anchor for source vibration. So if you keep your guardian, then that information doesn't get hidden from you, just like it has on Earth. If you keep your guardians and your protectors for higher consciousness, then you're able to put that into the field. If we're sharing with the populace right now that high vibrational, biodynamic, plant-based foods are amazing for the soul, the mind, and the body, crafted to your own design for what your body specifically needs. And you got to keep putting that out into the field so that the collective assimilates it, right? They're doing that with higher consciousness codes. And their direct anchor point for source vibration, right? So they're always connected into spirit. If you ever feel like you're the black sheep of the family, you might have some Arcturian in you, just throwing that out there. I definitely can relate to that one too. I don't even want to say an oddball, but a very unique being who's very special. We're all very special. Who can see more into the cosmos and just doesn't feel like that's necessarily their family. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. In my case, I feel like it was an entrance point into this dimension, but it was the first time I had ever interacted with them in this particular way on Earth. Everything for Arcturians is sound, frequencies, vibration, and energy, like the lights flashing, hearing ear tones, seeing particles. You can just feel the energy moving through your body, and in some cases, quite easy to move the energy around inside of your body. They are ascension guides and mentors to help Earthlings ascend to the 5th dimension, accessing our Tara, the cousin, right? By raising the frequencies of Earth, helping with our grid work, bringing that elevation. So when they visit our planet, and there's some bases here as well too, they're helping increase that frequency. And by moving us in that direction, it starts to cleanse the fields, because when you raise your vibration and you work on your consciousness, then all of a sudden things like junk food kind of go away. Maybe not fully all the time, but they start to get a wayside, and sleep really matters, and tuning into spirit becomes very important, etc., etc., etc. You open up your third eye, and it creates for full spectrum healing and well-being. They defend Earth from the reptilian and the gray agendas. Some of you may have heard of that one before. Head over to my Activate the Freedom codes on Rumble there. I have a page, and it goes deep into that stuff. So they're definitely helping us in that realm to get rid of the control system on Earth. Arcturians have bases on Earth inside of mountains in almost every single country. What? And 3 bases on the moon, which is interesting. I can't say for sure that all of these bases have benevolent beings on them. But I will say, with the current ascension process and everything that's going on and the way we're moving our consciousness, there is a lot of them that are working in our best favor. And on the moon too. The moon is totally not what people think it is. Astrology-wise, it taps into all of those medicines. There's so much more activity going up on there. And they have the Arcturians have the finest ships in the galaxy. They're powered by crystals and light of the galactic core, the center of our Milky Way galaxy. Imagine that. That's infinite power waiting right there, right? No paying your monthly bills to pay for your power. You got an infinite source. And they can travel through quantum time. Meaning time and space is not a boundary to the dimensions that they want to access in the different harmonic universes that we have. Their ships can dematerialize beings, so they can dematerialize a being, pull them into particles, and bring them back rematerialized at the base of their ships. As well as their ships can also access the Akashic records. And guess this one's wild. They can beam a whole entire civilization up in seconds. And just to throw it out there, I'm not saying for the Arcturians directly, but there's some motherships out there in the cosmos that are so large, they're the size of Quebec. Let that one sink in too. This is big, awesome. Thanks for being so open to these amazing conversations. So you can bring up a soul through dream space, through you made the choice before you were born to get beamed up there for various reasons, or they just want to help you. It can be a little strange when it first occurs, especially if you don't know about these realities of disclosure and other meta-terrestrials. But a soul can be brought up, and also for them too. Can be brought up to Arcturian ships during dream space for healing. Aw, what a wonderful gesture. Now there's a big distrust of authority with Arcturians for good reasons, because authority and power is giving that away to another to then control a populace. And also when it comes to fitting into mainstream molds. Does anybody else resonate with that? I sure do. And they can see truth and disinformation with ease. They see through the matrix and they can pick point. No, that's distorted. Not sure on that one, but I need to know more info. And they can see a truth, and they're deeply in touch with their emotional complex. Emotions are easy to share, to locate, and they use them as tools to enhance their day-to-day living. They are also drawn to wild, otherworldly clothing and outfits. So you like to dress really wild? You look like you're from another dimension? Arcturian mix. They also use and speak different forms of languages of light. That is a quick run through of the Arcturians. Wow. The medicines, the information that comes through is absolutely incredible. So if anybody out there feels like they're Arcturian or resonates with them on some capacity, or just curious to know more about different meta-terrestrials that have shaped our culture, shaped our history, our galactic history, and are embedded into our 12-strand DNA, the Arcturians are definitely one of them. Thank you all for listening today. Absolute pleasure to have this wild, fantastical conversation with you. Stay rad out there in the multidimensional fields. Look out for my link at the end of the video. Please reach out if anybody needs a session. Treatments, I do them in person, live on Zoom, in person, live in Victoria, or distance, live on Zoom. And my webpage has absolutely everything, and how to go through the whole process, descriptions of my sessions, and all that stuff too. So whether you're just beginning or you're at a high level star seed, come on down. My healing space is called the Star Temple. It's a 5th dimensional vortex, and it's waiting for you. Take care, everyone. We'll talk to you again soon. Have a beautiful day.